Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Nicole and I are here in Waco, Texas. My name is Bri. I am a QSSC with the Juice Plus Company and super excited just to share some stories with y'all tonight from three amazing presenters. I'll let you introduce yourself.
And my name is Nicole, and I am a senior sales coordinator with the Juice Plus Company, and I'm just super excited to have such amazing people on today. I am excited for you to hear their stories. So whether you're joining us live tonight or you're watching the recording, thank you for joining us. We hope that you feel inspired and encouraged.
Yes, for sure. And so I'm gonna pin each of our speakers. I should have done this first. Sorry, y'all. Pin, here we go. Okay, so we want to first introduce Kathrine Lee, let her tell a little bit about her story. And then I'm gonna have Victoria and Patrick join in and just let us know, just kind of how did you learn about this community and why did it make sense at first to you?
Yeah, thank you guys. It makes me so thrilled to see two young women hosting something like this, just for the hope that your generation, I know that you've seen so many struggles in your lifetime, but your generation just holds this possibility of hope and authenticity together. Like you call it what it is, you're a realist optimist is what I love to say. And it just thrills me, especially that you're tied to this community, because when I was 24 years old is when I heard about this product and the business really together. And the reason why is because I was looking for something. My friend had died rather tragically. I had a friend who was 9 months pregnant and she had an aortic aneurysm. And so we lost her and her baby. And what I learned from that season of my life is that pain can be used for purpose. So I just want to first say that whatever pain or frustration you're going through, acknowledge it, and then look for the lesson in it, the opportunity in it, because pain always carries purpose in tandem together. And that's what happened to me. It shocked me. At 24 years old, you usually don't look through an end of life lens. You don't think, about those things. But when she died, I started thinking, what do I really want out of life? And I realized I wanted to be home with my kids. I had a newborn and a 2-year-old. I was a young mom and I wanted to be home with them, but I also wanted something of my own. And I wanted to be able to empower myself with my health. I always say Juice Plus and the community is for the heathen to the vegan, right? I'm a vegan until noon, right? Because of the Juice Plus product line. But I'll tell you, anytime after that, you'll find me anywhere on that spectrum and leaning towards the heathen end often. But when I found this product, it was like, this is a 3-second health habit if I take the capsules, or a 3-minute at the most if I do the smoothie too, which is why I can be a vegan till noon, because that's my breakfast every day. And I know I'm doing something powerful for my health. And that, as a young mom, made me feel really good that I could make an instant change. And then I thought, wait a second, what if this is the thing? Because I was telling everybody, I didn't know anybody that ate enough fruits and vegetables. And back then, the big campaign was 5 a day for better health. Remember, I'm 52, I was 24 at this time. It was a long time ago, but they were discovering how much different whole food was from vitamins. And that's what made this sustain for me, is I just started telling everyone, as a curvy girl in a health business, right? But we all have somewhere on the spectrum of health that we can get better, everyone. Because athletes need even more nutrition, right? Because they're working out so much and creating so much free radicals and oxygen, right? And then there's the other end of the spectrum too. And so I just went to everybody going, are you eating enough fruits and vegetables? No, here it is. And my giant goal was to make $500 a month, because that to me meant I had options, right? It gave me options for my health. This started giving me options as bridging the gap in our finances. And little did I know that once I did that, that meant I could go anywhere I wanted to with this business, because I just needed to repeat those habits. And, it's great things have come right in the last 27 years or so, 26, 27 years now with this company. I've been with the company more years of my life than not. So when I see young people like Patrick and Victoria and the two of you, I get so excited about what this can bring, and all of it that you guys can bring to other people with options for their health and possibly bridging the gap in finances too.
Yeah, and I definitely think that both are so necessary right now. I think everyone's getting a little bit more
Yeah.
bold to share these hope stories because we're seeing the needs now so much more visibly on social media and authentically sharing that with people. So I know that Victoria and Patrick, y'all are on the younger end of the scale, but have honestly had so much success with this and used probably a very different way than Kathrine Lee. So talk to us a little bit how y'all learned about Juice Plus and why it made sense to you separately at that time, but now together as y'all are married and everything.
Yeah, so real quick disclaimer, you guys, we are traveling full time and right now we're in Canada. So we found out an hour ago that all coffee shops were closed and our internet was a little spotty. So hopefully you guys can hear us through. If not, just message in the chat. So you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. And just to respond to that, if we start glitching and we have some really pretty faces, just make sure you take a picture of us in that frozen face and send it to me so I can have some good shots of Victoria. But no, my story starts out whenever I was about 20 years old. I was serving tables. I was trying to get my life back on track. I had left college, and after I had left college, I was, living as any young 19-year-old guy would. And I made some pretty dumb decisions, and I ended up having to really get my life back on track and figure out what was going on. So I was serving tables, just making ends meet, actually making some money, having fun. But I was serving tables one day, and a couple was sitting at my table, and they were actually some founders of our company, and they were just sitting there and they became interested in me. And they're actually on this call tonight. I'm gonna call them out. Mr. Carey and Miss Mickey Daigle were sitting at my table, and I had no idea who these people were, but they took some interest in me. Mr. Carey especially, he was chatting me up, and he said, and he found out that I was wanted to be a personal trainer. I was getting my life back on track, starting to focus on my health, really taking a 180 turn from what I had done to my life at that point. And through that, he had struck up a conversation about training and sports and things like that. And he shared his background. He said, why don't we go to lunch one day and maybe we can talk about doing some business together. And I was like, whoa, this is the person I wanted to meet. Everybody in the service industry wants to meet that person sitting at the bar or something. But anyway, he brought me to lunch and he shared the Juice Plus company with me and how I could partner with the company and bring in this amazing nutritional component to being a personal trainer. And then he shared the product with me, obviously, along with that. And I just really was, I was in awe of the product. It made so much sense to me that it actually didn't make sense at first. It was, fruits and vegetables in a capsule. It almost seems like, wow, that's so simple. Is it going to do a bunch? I mean, I was a guy that was interested in a lot of, performance and things like that. And I didn't realize, how much of a difference that would make at the time. I always say that I was blinded by my own knowledge. I wasn't really listening to the message that he was trying to say. Now I'm an athlete at heart. So this is kind of where my story comes from. Victoria's got a little different story, but, so it took me a second to really get on board with the business, because I just couldn't see myself at first becoming a part of it. There was a lot of hesitancy on my part. And I'm glad, because the timing wouldn't have led me to meet Victoria, but anyway, so I just kind of stuck with the product for that point. And this is kind of where Victoria kind of comes into the picture.
Yeah, so I didn't know Patrick. We didn't know each other, but we both lived in the same city. And so my story kind of started, my background is I used to be a cheerleader at LSU. And then after that, I got into bodybuilding. So we had that in common. We both were into that fitness world. Well, basically what happened is I was blessed with a family that helped me financially throughout college. And my senior year of college, I was able to move into $1 million complex. It was very beautiful. And when I moved in there, I was doing my quiet time one day, and I felt like I needed to knock on my neighbor's door and introduce myself. And I didn't know why, but I did. And when I did, Miss Mickey Daigle answered the door. And I remember looking down, because she's short. And she was like, tell me, what are you doing here? And I was explaining to her, I was 6 months from graduating college. I was working 4 jobs, and I had no idea what I was going to do with my life. So we ended up going to lunch. the next day. And Mr. Carey, that's when I got to meet Mr. Carey. You know, he asked me, where are you in life? And I shared, and he says, well, where do you want to be? And I was like, I don't know, like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do when I graduate? And he asked me, what are you going to do when you need more money? And I was like, well, I guess I'll work another job or I'll work more hours. And he goes, well, what about your dreams in life? When are you going to have time for those? And I was like, oh my God, my life is about to suck. Like, my life is really about to suck. And 2 days later, I ended up at a Juice Plus conference, and that weekend gave me so much hope. It gave me so much hope for what I could do with my life. I was 21 years old, and that is the weekend that I decided to go all in. And I met Patrick at that time, kind of, because I posted a picture on Instagram and he slid into my DMs.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I creeped my way back into the picture. Like I said, it took me a while to understand the business. Back whenever Carrie and I went to lunch, he painted this picture of how joining this company would look, and inspiring healthy living. And in our area of the world, in South Louisiana, I think we got more disease than health running through our family genetics, honestly. And it's just the nature of our food and the nature of our lifestyle. And so I really wanted to impact that and change that. But he also painted the picture of, he was like, I would love a girl and a guy to lead this team of individuals influencing this community. And I said, well, hey, I don't have a girl just yet. And so that vision came up, and she posted that picture. I was just following her. Like she said, we were interested in fitness, heavily into bodybuilding at that time. And when she posted with Carrie and Mickey by her side, I was like, those are the people who have been pouring into me. I had been meeting with Carrie for lunch and going to luncheons, learning about Juice Plus and meeting the individuals as part of the community for about 1.5 years at the time. And so when she posted that, it all clicked, and I called Carrie up and I immediately said, hey, I'm ready to go. I took the plunge, and I went to a little boot camp is what we call it. And I was surrounded by individuals, and I got real up and close and personal with this company and this community. And it showed me where I could fit in. It showed me what I could do, and understanding deeper about the product. I just saw, wow, this is just something that could really change the game, especially in our environment where people really just don't even want to take capsules to help their health. It's sad how people in the South don't even care. They think health is cheesy or stupid or just nonsense. And I'm like, you know what? But I knew that if I could just show people and let time do the show or tell its course, people would understand. So that's where the vision started, and that's where the confidence in Juice Plus came. Was just being up and close and personal with the company, and getting to realize our dreams, feel the passion of our company.
And just to share, and then that's kind of it here, but we started first not really getting along.
She wasn't interested in me whatsoever is really the best way to put that.
He was very different. He was very different. He had like a beard and very long. His hair was like mine, actually, like this long. He was very different. And then he cut his hair, cut his beard, and he started looking really good like this. And so then we started being the best of friends. We started dating, we got engaged, and now we've been married for 1.5 years. So that's our story.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. So, Katherine, what inspires you to share Juice Plus with others? Oh, you're muted. Don't forget to unmute. Sorry.
I clicked it, but it didn't unmute. I just want to keep listening to Victoria and Patrick.
Oh, so cute.
I love their love story. I love their business journeys, and then that coming together. So, so the question was, say it again.
What inspires you to share? I know Patrick touched a little bit on that, but what inspires you to share Juice Plus?
Yeah. So the beginning was truly because I was in the mommy realm. I wanted other moms. I wanted to ease mommy guilt. Then it turned into, I wanted to generate enough money to help take care of my grandmother. And for some of you, that's your parents that are aging. Her biggest fear was to go into one of those places, but even more to be a burden to her family. And so, the motivation, my internal motivation was to do those things. For other people, I just knew I was doing what was right by them. I just knew there was a need that everybody had, and that we would be able to make an impact. Because I knew I happen to live near where the product is tested and encapsulated. And so every month I would go to that plant and work with different people and hear their questions and see how pure this product was. And so I thought I was doing right by people while I was really doing the right things by my family. And now today, you know, again, I'm a lot of years later, I've been in the business longer than some of you guys have been alive, actually, probably. And when I think of that, my husband and I have been able to found a nonprofit called Pure Hope Foundation, where we help restore young women that have been brave enough to run and/or allowed to be rescued out of the issue of trafficking. And so every time, I just had this past weekend, because we have the options in our life, my husband and I are able to work without taking a salary and share. And this past weekend, we just had 9 young women that are on their journeys of restoration that I got to speak with and give hope to. And one of them said, "How do you have time to do this? And how did this all happen?" And I said, "You wouldn't believe it, but it started with fruits and vegetables in a capsule." You know, it was God and fruits and vegetables in a capsule. And that keeps me motivated every day, because I know that, you know, I can provide for my family. We can have lots of freedom. We're doing the right thing by people, and I get to pour into this injustice in the world and make a big difference.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. I love the work that you're doing there and for these women. It's just, it's amazing. And it's really amazing, like what God can do with this business, and that it all started with fruits and veggies in a capsule. That's amazing to me.
Who would have thought?
So I know that Patrick, you chimed in a bit about that, but so for you, Victoria, what inspires you to share Juice Plus with others?
Yeah, so it's kind of similar. It's just what I believe is when you know something was so good for you and you're so grateful for it, how could you not share it, right? Like I think about like my life and what my life would have looked like if I didn't say yes 4 years ago. And I have no idea. I mean, I wouldn't be in Canada right now, that's for sure. I probably wouldn't be married. Like I wouldn't. It definitely wouldn't be to him, because we wouldn't have known each other. And it's just, you know, just like you said, like God definitely orchestrates your feet, because all I had was a feeling, you know, all I had was, I think I'm being told I need to knock on my neighbor's door. But what it comes down to, I truly think, is that it's inspiring knowing that it has been done for me. You know, like I, of course, put a lot of work to build a business. But when something's amazing to you, you share it, you tell people. And I know that the life that I have today was just a dream of mine 4 years ago. So if that can happen to me, then I know it can happen to someone else too. And I think it is also fair to say that we all have a deep desire to help people. It's actually one of our human needs. And if you don't have that desire, then that's okay. I mean, maybe you're just like me 4 years ago, because 4 years ago, I had a lot of walls up. And I knew I wanted to help people, but it was underneath layers and layers of walls. You know, maybe it was past hurt, kind of like Kathrine said. And, you know, I had to put on this image that I was strong, but I knew underneath that, of course, I wanted to help people. I think that feeling appreciated is one of the most important needs that we have. And as I started seeing and hearing stories of my friends taking Juice Plus, I mean, my best friend used to have asthma, and we are workout buddies, and we would be on the treadmill and she would have to stop. And I'm like, oh, come on. And of course I wasn't getting frustrated with her because she had asthma, but I was like, oh, this sucks. We've got to find something to do. She started taking Juice Plus, and she was good. She could run so much and not get off of the treadmill. And she was in tears the first time. We were both on the floor crying because we were like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I mean, I know my mom, she is having better memory and better skin. And it just makes you want to share with more people when you know what you know. And I think about starting to hear like the stories of the business. Like I think about one of our friends that gained confidence to start her own boutique and start her own blog just because of our community and what we poured into her. You know, we have adults that are very excited and have hope because they have a retirement plan. Like they're using this as their retirement plan. So I think it's amazing because when you feel what you feel from hearing the success and the joy from others and the gratitude that they have, you have to tell, it's addicting. Like you have to tell more people. Like everyone has to know.
Yeah, and my stories, I mean, my for time.
Sorry, I muted him out.
Oh,
Sorry.
she muted me.
I thought we were done
What
talking.
She
happened?
doesn't want to hear me.
That won't be the last time in life, Patrick.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, I'm done talking.
Yeah, I know. But no, it's my feeling about all of this has evolved over time. It's still I'm still passionate with inspiring people in the South Louisiana area to be able to think about their health and make it simpler. But I'm also fired up about sharing this business, what it's afforded me. It started out really simple, y'all. I had, like Kathrine had talked about, she was at a point where she was making about $500 a month with our company. And I was about at the same point, and I had gone to, Victoria, did you share that I rode the motorcycle? Carrie wrote that in the comments. If you go look at the comments, I rode up on a motorcycle to that first boot camp that I was talking about. And the reason why is because my car wouldn't get out of second gear. So I was driving about 30 miles an hour. And it's funny, Carrie and I used to go to lunch quite often, especially when I started the business. And he was like, hey, all right, we're going to go over here and go check out this coffee shop. Come with me. And I was like, all right. And he said, you can take your car? I said, yeah. And he was like, all right, follow me. And I said, well, Carrie, you can't go too fast, because he was driving a Corvette at the time. And he was like, why? And I was like, my car doesn't go above 30 miles an hour. And he was like, oh yeah. He said, buddy, we're gonna get you a new car. And I was like, all right, sounds good. I didn't really know what he meant by that at that point, but we went to conference and we came back and my car wouldn't get out of reverse at that point. So it was done. And all I had was my motorcycle. And
Can you tell why I didn't like him at first? You didn't even have a car.
Look, y'all, I was trying to get my life back on track. But they say what Steve Jobs started that company in his garage or something like that. I was living out of my parents' garage. It was that at that point in my life. But then my car wouldn't get out of reverse. And so I had to pull the plug and make a decision and buy a new car. Well, what was crazy, obviously I had a job and I was personal training and I was making, a good living for a single 21-year-old or 22 at the time. And because I was making that $500 a month, I didn't feel the extra note that just came on with the car. And I know everyone feels what a car note feels like. And it makes you vomit, especially after you've been paying it for 3 years. And it's like, why is this principal not going down? It's stuff that you don't understand at 22 years old. And but feeling that, and it just dawned on me one day. I was like, I haven't felt this yet. And somehow, and I mean, obviously I got serious, because when you got to buy a new car, you kind of get a little more focused on what you're spending money on. But I didn't feel it. And I was like, why am I doing actually better right now? And it was because I had those extra funds. It gave me the options and it gave me the flexibility. And so, I mean, I kicked it into more gear. I mean, I started working it even more because it was simple. I mean, I just had to talk to people about why they already know they need more fruits and vegetables. And we have an option that's very simple. But from a business standpoint too, a lot of people are trying to figure out that side gig or that extra income, especially in a time like now, things are crazy and we're trying to build extra funds. And it's something so simple as, hey, we've got fruits and vegetables in a capsule. People not just need it, not just want it, but have got to have it for good health. And all you've got to do is share it. People will get it. Some people won't, but a lot of people will get it. And all it takes is sharing, and that becomes a super viable business opportunity. Not just a viable, but it's a simple business opportunity that you get to build a customer base that people are going to love your product and they're going to continue with you. And then you can grow a team of individuals and get to work with people and also gain mentorship. A lot of people want to be successful here. And when you get to have mentorship from all kinds that can pour into you from so many different backgrounds. For me, a lot of us young people are on social media, and we probably all follow that social media influencer, and they're talking about, following successful or learning from the ones who have done it. We've got that ability, and it's so strong, and it's with what we do with the Juice Plus company. And that's so powerful to me, especially as someone who, I wanted to be successful, but maybe not as successful as the or I'm sorry, maybe not as stressful as the ones that I have seen in my life. And this was a totally awesome option if I was willing to just pay attention and just really put a little bit of effort in of just opening my mouth, and it flows so simple. So what fires me up is the fact that we have an option that's so cool, and I just can't shut my mouth about it.
That's great. I always feel like I have this gift in my hand, and two gifts, right, of the product and the business. And I feel like my only job is to open my hands. And so I feel like you all, that's kind of what they were talking about, you know, is that we have this amazing gift of health and wealth that we can help you be successful and reach, you know, dreams of all the way up to where Katherine is helping women get out of sex trafficking. That's huge, to make that big of a difference in the world. So I love that. Thank you all so much for sharing. We have time for a couple of questions. If anyone has questions for Katherine, Victoria, or Patrick before we end, we don't want to run too long, but we can take maybe one or two questions if somebody wants to unmute.
And we like the awkward silence, so we'll
Yep.
sit here for at least 30 seconds.
I'll fill the awkward silence while somebody's getting brave enough to unmute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do want to say it's so cool to hear Patrick talk about mentorship.
Yeah.
Because the longer I've been in this world, whether it's working with some of the top CEOs in the world, whether it's in our Juice Plus business or with the women that we help that are trafficked, people are looking for community and people they want to mimic, you know, or be mentored by. Like, wait, it's not like jealousy, it's longing. Like they have something that I've been looking for. And it's ironic because Carrie and Mickey, I didn't even think about this as we were getting on, but Carrie was a game changer for me because at one point I was way more successful than I ever thought I would be in this business. And I didn't know if it was okay to make money because money had ruined my family's life. And so I was kind of pushing away from success. And Carrie sat down with me and asked me a few pointed questions. And I know Victoria and Patrick know what I'm talking about. Carrie and Mickey are brilliant because they care about people and they want to know. And he asked me a few questions and he said, you just don't understand our industry, this business model, and you're apologizing for it. So I want you to read this book. If you'll read this book, will you? And he said, then come back and tell me what stood out to you. And something clicked. He became a mentor through asking me just a few questions and giving me something to do. And it changed everything. And so I just want to tell all of you, you know, be brave, you'll hit walls, but you know, this is a community that will support you. So if anybody's brave enough to unmute, we'll answer any final question.
I'd like to ask Carrie, I know that you're on, I've seen you commenting. Can you share the book? I think I can see, I'm like, ready to write down, like, what's the book? I want to read the book. Can you unmute Carrie and share? Is that weird? Should I have not said that?
No, not at all. I see him.
I'm just saying, I was going to say he might not remember because he
was literally
so many amazing books.
Yeah, I was 27 years old at the time, and I don't even know. It had something to do, Carrie, you may remember, but it was about, you know, going through the bases, you know, and talking about the different business models. And I think Robert Kiyosaki now has a book that is, you know, that's more updated and current. So Carrie, I see he unmuted. Are you going to drum roll, please? Do you remember?
When I first started, for everyone that's listening in, I remember the first time I spoke to you, Katherine, you had made sales coordinator 2 weeks before was the first time I had a conversation with you. And I remember the conversation distinctly, almost like it was yesterday. It was about network marketing because you weren't quite there in understanding the model. Not that you didn't understand the business plan, but ladies and gentlemen, when she got it, watch out, Irene, she built a dynasty. I mean, she went out and just tore this business apart. But I have to say this about Katherine. You can read the books, and a lot of people say knowledge is power. But I want you to know this, knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. What Kathrine Lee did, she read the books and she applied the knowledge. And she went out and built not a business, she built a dynasty. So Kathrine Lee has one of the largest businesses in the country. She's been very successful in developing a very powerful team. But she was, and I have to say this, she won't say it, she was a hard worker. She went out and did what was necessary. Now, a lot of you are looking at Victoria and you're looking at Patrick right now. I'm gonna tell you, this couple, you don't know the whole story. Victoria just left. She went to Mexico for a month. Can't speak Spanish, okay? Went back with Patrick for 6 weeks. He can't speak Spanish. They come back with the first SSC in the country. I mean, the highest ranking position in the company right now is SSC. They came back with the first one. That's exceptional, but it's applying the knowledge. So again, the book, what was it? Business School by Robert Kiyosaki?
No, it was one before that, because business school hadn't come out. Yeah, yeah.
And the reason is because I remember Patrick, that was the first book I gave him, and also Victoria too. Mickey and I have lived by that mantra for a long time. But until you understand the basics of being an entrepreneur and what business is all about and how business works, because once you sign that $52 application, you're an entrepreneur. Now it's time to put your big boy pants on and your big girl pants on. It's time to go after it, because when a problem arises, you have to learn how to find a solution to it. And what Victoria and Patrick and Kathrine Lee have done, they have found solutions to problems. And look where they are today. It's phenomenal. And what I learned from is from my bride, Nikki Daigle, who stays in the background very quietly, but she's a dynamo. She is the most brilliant person there is that I know of when it comes to building a solid team. There's no BS with her. She's a little tough to deal with. She's Mama Mickey. That's what I think Vic calls her sometimes. So, but we're so blessed to be able to see these three being interviewed today by these two young girls who, Nicole and Bri, am I saying that right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yes, Nicole and Bri. And I love that everyone keeps calling me young. Like, this is amazing. You are all boosting my ego real
You
good.
look like you're in the 20s. You're 20
I'm
years
40.
27 years old.
So
No,
thank
you're
you.
not.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Juice plus.
Yeah.
No.
I'm officially out
All right.
now. So
Well, look at Mickey. Mickey looks like she's 35 and I look like I'm 75. So I mean, she's taking more Juice Plus than me.
This is awesome. Carrie, thank you so much for sharing. Victoria,
Mhm.
Patrick, Kathrine, we value your time so much, and that you are willing to give by your time and sharing your story, so that everyone watching live and everyone who's going to see this recording, I have chills. I'm so thankful for you, so thankful for what you've done in this company and the lives that you're changing. And I hope that your stories will inspire others to do the same. So thank you so much, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful night. I'm going to end the recording, and we can stay on if you have any. What?